was a chilly November evening in 2018 when the fog rolled in thicker than I'd ever seen. I was driving home from a late shift at the warehouse through the rural backroads of upstate New York, the kind of place where houses are miles apart and the only company is the whisper of wind through bare trees. I'd always loved the solitude, but that night it felt different. The fog swallowed everything. Headlights barely pierced it, turning the world into a hazy void. I slowed to a crawl, gripping the wheel, when I first noticed it. A shape in the mist, standing still by the roadside. Humanoid, but unnaturally still. I told myself it was a deer or a signpost, but deep down, I knew better. This was the start of what I'd come to call the silent observer. As I inched closer, the figure didn't move. No breath fogging the air, no shift in posture, just watching. My radio crackled with static, then went silent, amplifying the crunch of tires on gravel. The fog muffled distant sounds but sharpened nearby ones. The drip of condensation from branches, my own heartbeat thumping in my ears. I rolled down the window, calling out, "Hey, you okay?" No response. Panic pricked my skin. Was it a person in distress or something else? I stopped the car, engine idling, and stepped out. The mist clung to me like cold fingers. As I approached, the shape seemed to recede, always just out of clear view. Then a whisper, faint, like leaves rustling, but words. Come closer. The climax hit when I was mere feet away. The fog swirled, revealing glimpses, pale skin, empty eyes locked on mine. It didn't blink. A low hum started, vibrating through the ground, but no source. Sounds amplified. My footsteps echoed like thunder. My breath rasped unnaturally loud. The fog obscured all but the observer's silhouette, making it tower, then shrink. I froze as it reached out, a hand emerging from the mist, fingers elongated. Beckoning, terror surged. I bolted back to the car, slamming the door. As I peeled away, tires spinning, I glanced in the rearview. It was following, gliding silently through the fog, matching my speed without effort. The mist hid its form, but I heard it. Scraping nails on metal. Right outside, I drove wildly. Fog-blinding turns, until I burst onto the main highway. The observer vanished as suddenly as it appeared. Lights from passing cars pierced the haze, and normalcy returned. But questions haunted me. Was it a hallucination from exhaustion, or a ghost tied to those foggy November nights? Locals whispered of similar sightings, lost travelers from decades ago, forever watching the roads. I never found answers. Even now, on foggy eves, I avoid driving alone, wondering if it's still out there, silent and waiting. What if next time it doesn't let go? The fog hides secrets, and some are better left unsolved. That encounter changed me. I researched old news clippings, disappearances in November fogs, bodies never found, reports of watchers in the mist. One article from 1952 described a farmer seeing a figure that mimicked his calls, luring him deeper. Sound familiar? The fog plays tricks, distorting reality, amplifying fears. But was mine real? I recorded my story on my phone that night, voice shaking. Listening back, there's faint static, whispers I didn't notice then. Come back. It chills me. If you drive those roads in November, beware the silent shapes. They observe, and sometimes they follow you home. Years later, the memory lingers like the fog itself. I've moved cities, but November brings dread. Last year, on a walk, mist rolled in unexpectedly. I swear I saw it again, across the street, unmoving. No one else noticed. Is it tied to me now? Or does the fog summon them everywhere? Science says optical illusions, pareidolia. But the amplified sounds, the pursuit, they felt too real. I avoid mirrors on foggy days. Sometimes reflections don't match the unanswered. Who or what was the observer? A warning? A predator? It prompts endless speculation. Drive safe. The fog conceals horrors that watch in silence. In sharing this, I hope it's cathartic. But doubt creeps in. Was it truly personal or collective delusion? Forums online echo similar tales. Silent figures in November mists worldwide. One user claimed it whispered names of the lost. Mine, it knew nothing or everything. The core mystery endures. Why me? Fog's role, obscuring, amplifying, turns ordinary nights terrifying. If you've seen it, you're not alone. Speculate. Guardian spirits, interdimensional beings, or our fears manifested. Whatever, it left unease that no answer quells. November fog, beautiful, yet a veil for the unknown. Stay vigilant. The observer might be watching you next. It was the same thick November fog from my neighbor's scary story, the kind that hides everything and messes with your head. But it got me one cold evening in a small town in Ohio, USA. I was walking home from my job at the local store, taking the shortcut through Riverside Park, like always. The fog came down fast, wet and heavy, sticking to my skin like cold sweat. I could barely see my own hands. My boots made soft, squishy sounds on the wet path, but everything else was quiet. Too quiet. No cars, no dogs barking, just my breathing, loud in my ears. The air smelled like old leaves and mud. I felt alone right away. The trees looked like dark ghosts. A branch cracked behind me, sharp, close. I turned fast, but saw nothing. My stomach twisted. I kept walking, but the fog got worse. It pressed against my face, cold and damp, like someone breathing on me. Every step felt wrong. The ground was soft, sucking at my shoes with a wet slurp. I heard footsteps, not mine, behind me. I stopped. They stopped. My heart was banging so hard, I could feel it in my throat. I called out, "Hello?" My voice came back weak, swallowed by the gray. No answer, just silence. My phone didn't work. No signal. Just a spinning circle. The cold crawled under my jacket. I started to shake. Was I going in circles? The same twisted tree kept showing up. Or was it? Everything looked the same. I smelled something rotten now, like something dead nearby. My mind screamed, "Run!" But where? Panic took over. My legs burned. I tripped on a root, fell hard, mud in my mouth, cold and gritty. Time stopped making sense. Minutes, hours. I just wanted out. I stood there shaking, covered in mud, tears freezing on my face. The fog stayed behind me like a wall. I made it home, but I couldn't sleep. Every shadow in my room looked alive. That night still haunts me. I don't take shortcuts anymore. I stick to main roads, even if it's longer. That November fog didn't just hide the path, it hid me from myself. It showed me how fast fear can break you when you can't see, hear, or trust anything. Now, when the fog rolls in, I stay inside, because I know what's waiting in the gray, and I'm not strong enough to face it again. My Ohio nightmares were bad, but fog doesn't stay in one state. It travels. Last November, it found my cousin Sarah in a tiny fishing town on the Oregon coast. Nets Bay, population 400. She swears this is true. I believe her. Sarah worked the night shift at the cannery. One foggy evening, the machines shut down early. She walked the cliff path home, boots crunching on wet shells. The Pacific fog rolled in heavy, salty, cold. It smelled like fish and seaweed. Streetlights turned into blurry yellow balls. The ocean roar below was gone, just a low hum, like the world held its breath. She heard bells first. Not boat bells. Old church bells, deep and slow, coming from the fog over the water. Nets Bay has no church on the sea. Sarah stopped. The path curved around rocks. Something moved ahead, tall, wet, dragging a chain. Clank, clank. It stopped when she did. Her flashlight beam died. Batteries knew that morning. Darkness swallowed everything. The chain started again, closer. She smelled smoke. Old wood fire, not cannery smoke. A voice called from the rocks. Male, old, help. The tide. Sarah backed up. Her heel hit air. Cliff edge. She ran blind. Fog soaked her jacket, heavy as hands, pulling her down. The chain sound followed. Fast now, metal scraping rock. She tripped, fell into wet sand. Something cold touched her neck. Fingers, bony, dripping. She screamed. The touch vanished. Bells rang louder right above her. She crawled, found the path by feel. Her house lights glowed faint ahead. The door was open. She never leaves it open. Inside, the kitchen floor was wet. Seawater footprints, big bare feet, leading to her bedroom. The footprints stopped at her bed. Under the pillow, a rusted iron bell, small, slimy with kelp. Sarah slammed the door, locked it. The fog pressed the windows like it wanted in. She called me, voice shaking. It's in the house. I heard the chain drag across her roof, slow, heavy. Then a child's laugh, high and wrong. She grabbed the bell, ran to the cliff, threw it into the sea. The fog lifted fast, like someone opened a curtain. Moonlight hit the water. For a second, she saw them. Old shipwreck sailors, gray faces, chains on ankles, standing on the waves. They waved, then gone. Next morning, the bell was back under her pillow. Clean, dry. Sarah moved to Idaho. The bell came with her, in the moving box, wrapped in her coat. Every November, when fog hits the mountains, the chain drags outside her window. Footprints appear on the carpet, wet, salty. She doesn't open the door anymore. She sleeps with the bell in a jar of salt, but last week, the jar cracked. Salt spilled. The bell rang once, ding, by itself. The fog is coming again. Sarah texts me. It's learning the land. She says the sailors aren't angry. They're lost. Now they think she's their way home.